stating something that should be very obvious. I'm growing up in a very different world than the one that my parents grew up in, or even some of you grew up in. I don't know your war, at least not in the same way you do. I've never had to. I've never had to risk everything I've ever had a chance for a better life. I've never been shot at. I've never had to run away from someone shooting me. And the closest thing I've ever been to a gun has been through a video game. Yeah, so I don't know your war. Because the thing is, my war isn't fought on foreign battlefields in countries from all over the world. My war is fought right here, through Instagram posts, Twitter feeds, and news blogs. It's fought through every single shooting, every act of terrorism, and every homicide that manages to make its way through the front page of the newspaper. It's war told through stories, not experience. And that's just the thing, isn't it? Because this isn't a story. There is no once upon a time or happily ever after, no damsels in distress or heroes coming in to save the day. That's not true, because this is reality. If I'm being honest, this was a concept that was very hard to grasp. That something this horrible actually happened. That for all that this assault sounds like something ripped straight out of a horror book, it's real. Every setting is a real place, and every character was and still is a real person. But let's start at the beginning, shall we? So I'll be honest, up until about, say, a month ago, I had no idea what the Pitt Offensive was. I didn't understand why it was such a big deal or why we need an entire commemoration dedicated to it. To me, it was just another story, another consequence of senseless violence brought on by the communists. So me, being the curious little bugger that I am, I dug a little deeper, and what I found was shocking. I mean, buried alive, ambushed on what was supposed to be a time of peace and celebration, killed because they just so happened to be in the way. I've watched horror movies and written plays that are less horrifying than that. More than 14,000 innocents killed. And for what? A high ground advantage? The war? And people just brush this off like it's no big deal. Like the thousands of defenseless people were just no biggie. It's disgusting having to think like that. Knowing that so many civilians were slaughtered like pigs at a butcher shop just because they happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And people just write them off as casualties of war. Civilians, not soldiers, mind you, civilians who had no business in this war were slaughtered in their homes. And at the end of the day, all they amounted to was just another statistic, another number to be added to the final body count. That's so infuriating. That's disgusting. And if I'm this angry about it, I can't imagine how you must feel about it. You know, sometimes I wonder, how many families were wiped out that day? How long did these people have to suffer for? Did any of them wish for death in the end? After having to watch their home be burnt to the ground? After watching all their loved ones be shot and killed in front of their eyes? After having their basic human rights and dignity stripped from them? How many unmarked graves are there, do you think? How many names will we never know? How many people were wiped from history all in one fell swoop? I said it before, and I'll say it again. The world I live in is very, very different from the world you live in. Because I don't have to fear for my life. My innocence, my freedom, my happiness was bought and paid for through the blood of these innocent people. It's just like the Holocaust, genocide for the greater good. Mindless slaughter branded as strategic assault. Go figure. My parents were immigrants. They fled the war and came here, trying to find a better life. So I grew up hearing stories like this all the time. Stories about war, about the violence, about the death that drenched every single day of their childhood. And for the longest time, that's all it was to me, a story, a myth even, something to tell me before I went to bed. Now I know better. So before I go, I want to leave you with one last thought, since I realize this hasn't been the happiest thing I've ever said. I want to leave you this on maybe not a good note, but at least a hopeful one. While researching for this speech, I came across this quote from the musical Hamilton. It goes like this: "Death doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes, and it takes, and it takes. And we have to keep living anyway." But if there's a reason that I'm still alive, while so many around me have died, I'm willing to wait for it. Maybe I'll never know the people who died that day. Maybe they'll have to remain nameless faces and unmarked graves. After all, what can I do? I'm not a politician. I'm not even a legal adult yet. I'm just a struggling high school student, emphasis on struggling, trying really, really hard to graduate with decent grades. I can't stop wars, and I can't prevent something like this from ever happening again. I wish I could. But I can make this promise, that for as long as I live, and hopefully beyond that, this story will forever be known and forever be told. The voice of every man, woman, and child that lost their life that day will never be silenced, not if I have something to say about it. The communists will never win, and we'll keep fighting to make sure that they never do. Those people may be dead, but their memory will live on, through me and through my generation. History may have forgotten them, but I haven't. And I'm going to damn well make sure that the world doesn't either. Thank you.